All right, it is 10 o'clock, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started here this morning. Welcome to our Daily Q Connect. Today, myself, I am Leah Sanders. I work at UREC. Jonathan Stahl is also going to be with us today. We're going to be talking about Nature RX and how is nature medicine for us? How does it help us? What benefits does it actually give us? And so we're going to touch the surface on that because there's a lot of benefits and a lot of good things that nature can do for us. So I know we're excited to talk to you about this today. So we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. Like I said, my name is Leah Sanders. I work with University Recreation, and I work at delivering fitness programming, developing it, and training staff. I work in the Chinook and oversee weight room and things like that as well. But I also work as an adventure facilitator for the Outdoor Rec Center, and so this is kind of a side gig, but something that I enjoy so much, and a lot of what I do with fitness programming overlaps so well with my position with outdoor rec. And so I get to lead trips down to the river or into the backcountry, things like that. I grew up in a family where we would frequently take family vacations camping and traveling in our vehicle and pulling either a camper or getting the car loaded up with our tents and gear and stuff. And so it was really from a young age that I became just really enthusiastic about the outdoors and really love spending time out there. My brothers and my dad spent a little bit more time outdoors than I did, and I was always jealous because I always wanted to do what they were doing. And so now as an adult, I feel like I have arrived and get to do what they're doing. But some of my favorite activities include camping, hiking, backpacking, kayaking, and really just being outside. Sometimes that's just taking my workout outside, whether that be a jump rope, a run, a bike ride, things like that. But just being outside is really rejuvenating for me. And so that's a little bit of the why and how things have helped me. And so I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan.
Thanks, Leah. As Leah said, I'm Jonathan, and I work also with University Recreation. I've been working in outdoor education and recreation for about 20 years now, but I have always had a long interest in how nature affects people and how people affect nature. My first backcountry experience was actually my first few days in college. I was that nervous first-year student going in from New Jersey, going to school in Vermont, and I had really never done much hiking or camping or anything like that. And I went on this wilderness orientation program with other first-year students, and I realized how easy it was to form like really genuine bonds with people while out on an adventure in nature. Fast forward, I was in grad school and developing a wilderness orientation program for UMass Amherst, where that became kind of the beginning of my outdoor education career. And again, just found great benefits in getting people outside and the kind of things that would take place in the ability to bond with folks in nature. After that, I was, in my personal life, I was engaged, and I was kind of curious, like, could we apply this wilderness orientation for college students to like getting married and getting to know each other more? And so my wife and I had actually set off on a 2,000-mile long hike for 5.5 months. We coined it our wilderness orientation to marriage, and we blogged about the wellness-related benefits of recreation all along the way. And we had some interest in that and attained sponsorships for that. So it was kind of fun. In fact, later on when we mentioned one of the different books that we referenced, they actually had asked us questions about what that was all like. So this is just something I've always been interested in. My favorite ways of getting outside, aside from hiking and backpacking, my favorite sport is backcountry skiing. I love sea kayaking, running. Lately, I've been taking up birding a little bit more as I've been sitting at home, gardening, and ideally climbing mountains and then skiing back down them. That's a little bit about me.
Cool. All right, so we want to hear a little bit about you all. Looks like we have about 50 individuals with us this morning. And so I want you to go ahead and use the annotation tool on the top of your screen. It looks like kind of like a pin, and we're going to choose some sort of stamp. So something that you identify with today, whether that be a star, a question mark, or a heart, check mark. And I want you to pick on this image, place your stamp in one place that you could be outdoors. Where would it be? We've got a variety of options up here. There's places where you could be on the water looking at mountains, backcountry skiing. You could be in your backyard. You could be at a local playground. You could be in a city and you could be walking around with some green space and some blue space, and backpacking, or even in the desert. So lots of options here. So choose where you could be, if you could be in one place. I love all the variety, but also I find it interesting that there's just a few that would choose to be skiing right now. Most of these pictures are from some ORC trips that the department has taken. And so we'll plug there for some of the trips we offer. Cool. We've got quite a variety here. I wanted to show that because there's so many different places that nature can be. It can be found in the middle of a city. It can be found in a town at a playground, or it can be found, maybe in the backcountry on water or things like that. So that's neat to hear a little bit about where you all want to be. We're going to go ahead and clear all of this. And we'll dive in just a little bit deeper. Oops, there we go.
Leah, do we want to go back to that one other slide?
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. We've got a fun video for you first. Go for it.
Do you find yourself longing for the apocalypse? I did. I was looking for a reason to live. Hi. Are you feeling tired, irritable, stressed out? Well, you might consider nature.
From the people that brought you Getting Outside comes prescription strength Nature, a non-harmful medication shown to relieve the crippling symptoms of modern life.
Nature's recommended for humans of all ages, and it's great for pets too.
Nature can reduce cynicism, meaninglessness, anal retentiveness, and murderous rage. In clinical studies, Nature is proven to decrease work-induced catatonia.
Caution. Nature may cause you to slow down, quit your job, or seriously consider what the you're doing with your life.
If you are overly cynical, jaded, or emotionally numb, you may need to increase your dose of Nature. Do you have trouble being even mildly uncomfortable? Nature may not be right for you. Side effects may include spontaneous euphoria, taking yourself less seriously, and being in a good mood for no apparent reason.
So ask your doctor if nature is right for you.
All right.
Makes me laugh every time. Love it. All right, so as we kind of transition a bit into why nature and some of the benefits of nature, I could see some of you already writing some things in, like nature's the best medicine. Some of us just get it, all right? I'm not a researcher, but I definitely tune into how I'm feeling and how people are doing in nature. And there's a lot of things that a lot of us can just feel intuitively, but the nice thing is there's been a lot more research coming out in the last decade or two about the benefits of nature. This book here is by Richard Louv. This is the one I was referencing earlier, and where I found out many years after it was published that I was actually, I was mentioned in there, and I totally forgot about that interview, and then it happened. So Richard Louv talks a lot about, in short, we're further and further from nature than maybe we were meant to be. We're more connected with technology and further disconnected from nature. With the helpful app, we can now track our daily screen time. And as we work at home, our screen and tech time is even more increased. In 2016, the average total media consumption was 10 hours and 39 minutes per day among adults and was rising. More people, 4 out of 5 Americans, according to a UN 2015 survey, live in an urban area where nature contact is limited. Research in recent decades has shown substantial evidence of the benefits nature provides. So while there's more research to be conducted, their findings strongly connect increased overall wellness and nature. And these are some of the things we're going to be sharing with you all today.
Thanks. Yeah, so let's dive just a little bit deeper. What are some of these benefits? As Jonathan said, some of us can feel just better when we go into nature, but what does science actually say about this? And so the first thing that I want to point out is just this reduced inflammation. And so inflammation in the body is usually an indicator that something is not quite right. It's a reaction to some sort of injury or insult into our systems. And so there was a research study in 2012 that found that students who were asked to spend more time forest bathing, which is simply spending time outside, had lower levels of inflammation than their peers who spent time in the city. And so that can naturally help us reduce pain in our body. If we have increased inflammation in our body, sometimes that can lead to increased risk for heart disease. Along with increased risk for heart disease, there's typically this relationship between obesity and type 2 diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is strong. Both of those are related with that inflammation. And so when we have that increased risk for heart disease, that leads to more health problems. So if we can step outside and forest bathe and reduce some pain in our body, sometimes it might not even be like a sprained ankle inflammation. It might just be more internal. It's going to help reduce our inflammation and increase our overall well-being. The second one that I think is important to point out is the stress relief. Who doesn't need stress relief these days? But spending time outside has been shown to lower stress levels and has similar effects on your brain and your body as meditating. And so being in a natural setting is shown to lower that heart rate and that blood pressure. Chronic stress leads to just reduced immune function. And we know that if we don't have high functioning immune systems, that we're more likely to get sick. And also having higher heart rates or blood pressure, that is more so associated with some other underlying heart issues where we might have to be on medication because of different things going on in our body. And so to be able to reduce our stress, spend time outside, have lower heart rate, have improved blood pressure, increases our overall health and well-being. And so those are two that I would like to point out. We do have a couple more to share with you. Go for it.
Sure. I was kind of smirking here for a moment because I knew my next slide was going to talk about more energy and improved mental health. And at the same time that I'm doing this, I have a 7-year-old who's in the front lawn, and I could just hear him screaming, running around, nothing but joy. And it's so not what I saw in the past 2 hours inside, where he was just kind of like looking like this, right? So just the difference, and when people go outside and the kind of emotions that come out is really fun to watch. I think a lot of us just know this internally, that when we spend time outside, it does improve our mental health. But there's a lot of studies now that show that our moods take a positive shift when we spend time outside. Research suggests that spending time in nature can also reduce the risk of depression and anxiety and may even help improve symptoms. The energy that you get from going outside is fantastic, right? I mean, a lot of us might reach for a cup of coffee, but even just going outside for a few minutes and getting some fresh air is such a great way to rev up the energy that we need. And if you really need more than that, maybe have the coffee outside and you can double dip.
I think I would do that.
And then lastly, I thought this was kind of neat. There was a study that showed that short-term memory can be enhanced by spending time out in nature. This was a study from University of Michigan, that just walking in a park or even viewing pictures of nature can help improve our short-term memory. So pretty cool stuff.
Thanks. So we also have a more exhaustive list for the health and well-being benefits of being in nature. This is from one of the articles that we pulled some of this information from. And so I just wanted to show this. We don't have all of the scientific research that goes along with this, but these are some of the benefits that this article had found. And just more things that I want to point out on here is better sleep, and how sleep is definitely related with our stress levels and how it can affect us day to day in regards to our work production and our interactions with our family, our friends, our loved ones, people that we're around, our coworkers, and that sleep is super important there. We talked about blood pressure, we talked about mental health, some improved congestive heart failure that has to do with that inflammation there, some child development, pain control, reduced obesity, diabetes, even better eyesight, as we are sitting at our computers and behind technology so often, especially as we're working at home. It's important to shift our eyes away from the screens and taking that time to connect with things that are farther away and can then give us increased benefits of reduced stress and mood and things like that. So more of an exhaustive list there, but definitely a lot of health and well-being benefits to being outside. So my question, or our question to you, is more so, how has nature helped you? We have shared a little bit how nature has helped us. We've showed some research and some things that other people have found, but what have you found? Is it similar to the things that we've mentioned? Is it something different? But we'd love for you to share in the chat, how has nature helped you? Lower blood pressure, that's fantastic. Yeah, mountain biking outside is a huge stress reliever for me. That's awesome. I imagine that there's a little bit of thrill, or as we like to call type 2 fun, in mountain biking there. Helps you relax, breathe in life, exhale anxiety and stress. Feeling calmer. Absolutely. Sunshine is the best medicine. Yes, I've been missing it a few days here, trying to step outside every time I can with the rain. Bonding with spouse and kids. Healing from a mental health trauma. Yes, there's so much power in nature and being outside there. Something that my husband and I do together it is something my husband and I do together so wonderful for our relationship, our weekly date. Yeah, it's great for bonding. And as Jonathan was mentioning earlier, as he was introducing some of about himself and his story, the connections that he's been able to make in the outdoors, I can definitely relate to that and what has been said here about just the ability to create deeper connections with people as you're outdoors, and even just away from the screens makes a big impact. Can solve problems, maybe have that clearer head to think critically and even be creative. More appreciation for the environment. Absolutely. That's really fun to read all that, how nature has helped you all. I think there is endless benefits, and I hope that even after sharing some of this stuff today, you'll be able to experience more of those health and well-being benefits from nature. So then we have to talk, like, how can we actually incorporate nature into our lives? I'd love for you to still use that chat function and share, how do you incorporate nature into your lives? How do you think other people can? We've got a couple of different suggestions through the pictures on our slide here, whether that be taking a walk, birding, gardening, things like that. But how do you incorporate nature into your lives? Mushroom hunting. I've never done that, but I was in Glacier last year and we were stopped by some mushroom hunters. Weeding, absolutely. Gardening, work in the garden. Currently, I've been gardening and taking long walks with the pup, absolutely. Weekly hike and work in my garden. That's great ways to incorporate it. I know that I have some walking loops in my neighborhood. I'm pretty sure my neighbors are aware of all of my walking loops. But that's been a staple as I've been working from home and needing to get outside. Playing outside with the kids, hiking, jogging, and snowboarding. Getting away from the internet and the phone service. Gardening or visiting the coast. sound like great things. This makes me want to get outside. Anybody else? I used to walk an hour a day to and from work. Yeah. Making and meeting gardening goals every day for walking outside every day. These are great ways to incorporate nature into our lives. I think that many of you have mentioned some of the suggestions that we have. Even a little bit helps, even if it's that walk to the backyard, or for me, sometimes it's standing out and staring out into the backyard from inside. But walking around the neighborhood, maybe birding, checking out, seeing what's going on in the backyard or around you. Gardening, landscaping, having plants. We can head to local recreation spots. We can take that intentional time away from our screens to disconnect. I think that was definitely mentioned earlier. And even just looking for those practical ways that are easy to implement. So whether that be walking the dog or, having a garden or yard work, things like that. This picture here, I was on a walk one evening after it rained, and had seen this, and it made my walk, and it was one of those moments that was like I just wanted to stop and stare and stand, watch the rainbow, and so I had to include it in for you all. All right, so as we look to incorporate nature into our lives, we also want to bring just light to just how sometimes our recreation can shift because of current conditions.
Yeah, and so this little box that just popped up here just came from a study done by, I think it was Penn State, and in concert with Leave No Trace, the Center for Leave No Trace out of Boulder, Colorado. And they found a lot of other things as well, but I pulled this one out. This is in light of COVID. So in the past, I think it was the first month or 6 weeks of COVID, how people's behaviors have changed with recreation. And I felt like this one, it's like me in a nutshell right now. I'm the skier, the climber, backpacker type, camper, whatever. And everything that I've been doing since COVID has been like gardening, running, bird watching, which I never really used to care about a whole lot. Basically everything there on the list except for try, because you can't get me to swim. It's not going to happen. But so people's behaviors are changing a lot, but they're finding that people are definitely still spending time in nature and finding creative ways of doing it. The bird watching thing, I just wanted to point out, if any of you have kids or know folks with kids, there's a free Audubon app, and we've been having so much fun, whether it's been inside the house or outside the house, identifying all the different birds around the Palouse, and you can kind of collect them all in the Audubon app and add your sightings. And it's just been a really fun, interactive way of engaging one of my kids in nature. So yeah, we're going to go to this next slide here. And then this is kind of, we're going to start wrapping this up as we're thinking about how we recreate today. And we always try to recreate responsibly, right? That looks and feels different today. So two big things to think about. First off, just our basic safety and health. In the state of Washington, you probably know we're reopening in 4 different phases. We're currently in phase 1. We should really be thinking about the different considerations put out there by the governor's office. Right now in phase 1, they recommend folks going out with only people in their households. So either your family or the people you live with. Staying local if you can. If there's a lot of cars at a trailhead, maybe go somewhere else. So that's kind of the first bit. Camping starts to happen in phase 2, in small groups. And outdoor trips, like the kinds of trips we run at the Outdoor Rec Center, wouldn't really be until at least phase 3. And in general, what we're all trying to do in the outdoor community is lowering our objective risks, taking it down a level. And this is not a good time to get unintentionally injured and take more resources from the community. With regards to Leave No Trace has 7 principles. We do workshops in this all the time in our program. We're only going to touch on one of these principles right now, which is being considerate of other visitors. In light of COVID, this is all about good etiquette, right? And so when I'm hiking on a trail, maybe I'm at Kamiak Butte, I can have my mask or my facial covering down around my neck while I'm hiking in the woods. But when another party is coming towards me or I'm about to pass somebody, it's really good etiquette to put that that facial covering up over my mouth and nose, just to show some etiquette so that we're not transmitting potential virus. Avoid large gatherings. Again, step aside where you can. Keep that social distance. If you have a dog, more than ever, this is a really important time to keep them on leash and under control. And if you can't do that well, or if you're worried about it, just, I hate to say it, maybe consider leaving the dog home. So those are just some small tips for being considerate of other visitors and how to stay safe right now.
Thanks. All right, so this is kind of our resource in readings. If you're interested in reading more, I do have these are all linked, but I am happy to share these articles with you, as well as these are 2 books that we both have found really helpful. I've read both of them, and I feel just super just excited when I get to read about all the benefits of nature and what it does for us. And so the Nature Fix and the Nature Principle are 2 that we recommend. There are many resources out there, but these are just some that we found to be super helpful. And I'm excited about the research that will continue to come out about this, simply because I think as we shift into more of a technology dependent culture, that the need for nature is going to be just even greater. So some resources and readings there. If anybody has questions, we'd love to take them. This is our contact info. If you'd like to send us an email, I'd be happy to send you some of that information. And tomorrow, I'll let y'all populate the chat if you have questions. I do want to put our last screen up in case you're going to be popping out of here. But tomorrow there's going to be a Zumba dance party with Jessica Witt. She is another individual who works in university recreation. Guarantee that it will be fun and lively. So feel free to join us back here at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning and enjoy that movement.
Get outside, everybody.